A lot of black men will run into a situation to where they are not where they want to be in life, but they are at a position that brings no drama and no true unnecessary baggage. But the fact of their cause comes from the aspect of not able to or shall I say unwilling to disclose some of their personal positions. And it can cause you to miss out. It can cause you to have someone in your life, meet someone in that process. But because of your lack of transparency, you mess up a good thing. So let's talk about that, brothers. I'm gonna tell you how. Show you how. You can stop doing this. It's Urban Nation, Black Men in Suits. I'm your host, LJ. Let's get into it. So, let me use myself for example. There was a period of time where I had met this beautiful black woman, and at the time, I was living with a roommate. I had a roommate, so because of me living with this roommate, when I met this black woman, she had this position of when I met her, she was a lawyer. I had this worldly perception of what lawyers were, this unrealistic idealism, what they made, the value, all of that, right? So in other words, when I met this woman, I was elated, just kind of like, wow, just kind of the wow factor, the giddy thing that we do, right? And you initially begin to think, in some perspective, you kind of put people on a pedestal that we should not do as human beings, and that is, you kind of knock yourself out of the fight, right? What we call out of your league. You feel me? So in hindsight, I know by character, I'm everything and anything that she could need and want, right? However, because of her occupation, again, I'm young. I'm real young at this time. So let's put that in perspective, right? So I'm real young at this time. So I am still in the zombie nation. I'm still in that mindset of classism. Just the zombieism of what classism embrothers itself in our society. How it, kind of perpetuates a lot of things to where if what we see on TV is how we kind of operate and mold our reality, our own personal reality, our perception of our reality is the better word. So, with that being said, I had this assumption that this woman wanted to be wine, dine, with all the finest of things. And there is two truths to that, right? The first truth is, as a woman, and as my woman, she deserves to be wine, dine, with the finest of things. But the second truth to that is, I had an unrealistic expectation that was not geared by her, but by my own perception. This was not, this is not a situation where you meet someone and they give you the A, B, C, D, E, F, G things what you need to do for them, right? So so as we talk about this, let's separate that factor. I'm talking about a lot of you brothers out there that you have a good thing. You have a great thing. You meet great women, women that come into your life and they're able to elevate you to be a better version of yourself. But because of your experience, because of your personal idealism about how you want to really live your life, like you may be just very cool, calm, collective, and you just kind of like, I want my life to be very simplistic. But you meet somebody who is goal oriented, who wants to travel, but you may not be a traveler. But you meet a woman tomorrow that wants to be a traveler. She likes to travel. And that could become a conflict in y'all relationship. And I would say this. If that's the only conflict in you all's relationship, do not let that be a factor, right? Understand that there are factors of human disconnect, discomfort, and unyoke comes from the physical and mental way people treat each other, right? That's where it really stems from. These other things that we have incorporated to make it a problem, we got to get rid of that mindset of it. And that is case in point in hand, right? You want to be a homebody, but you meet a woman who is a traveler, but she wants to travel a lot. Transparency and communication is everything. So what would it hurt you or hurt her for you to guys sit down and have a conversation and say, hey, this is who I am as a person? She replies back, she understands. You understand where she's at, she understands who you are. Y'all discuss that. Y'all dive into that in detail. And you make proper preparations, commitment and understanding, right? Proper preparations and commitment and understanding. This whole expectation thing, we have these, a lot of times expectations are derived from our own personal experiences. And they can cripple you, they can hurt you. They can make a situation that's so simple into something just that you seem and on an outer perspective, you're looking at it so terribly, and it's not that bad, or it's not bad at all. It's just simple miscommunication, right? So, in addition to my story, was that because I felt that she needed the things of what I seen the women that were lawyers on TV to have. I drowned myself with feeling inadequate, with trying to provide those things. Now, this woman, the sister, never said none of those things to me. She never said she was dissatisfied. She never said none of those things. I took it upon myself. I put that pressure on myself. I created that world that never existed. But the reality was, it was how I treated her and how she treated me. But nonetheless, when she wanted to take a day trip out of town because I didn't have the time to do it, I thought it was an issue, or I created an issue around it, right? But ultimately, long story short, it created a disconnect between us because it was always something that I felt that I had to try to make up for. But in the reality, in the end, I didn't have to do none of those things because at face value, I've already had her heart. I already had her attention. I already had her as a woman who's seen me as a king. You feel me? But it was my own perception that created different narratives where I felt that I had to do this, that, and the other, but that was not the reality. This happens far too often than people will admit. And it happens on both ends, both genders, male or female. But as I speak to you brothers out there, man, I just want to tell you, as you know, embark and embrace on your life, the first thing you want to do for yourself, understand who you are, where you are, and accept that. Understand who you are, where you are, and accept that. Right? So this means it doesn't matter if you no matter what classism that you call yourself, categorizing yourself in. Embrace it. Yo, if you're not making, but if your classism is that you're below the medium income, embrace it. Embrace it. And so what I mean by embracing it, and the same thing with anybody else above that. Because first off, let's be real. Money doesn't because you are in a certain class of a tax bracket doesn't mean you're gonna have success with relationships. So let's be clear with that. But with classism determines how you respect, how you operate, the people you meet, especially the women that comes into your life and in your society. That's real, right? So as I talk to the brothers who feel in this level here, when I talk to you brothers who want to who are trying to elevate yourself, if you have been through a situation where it's a divorce, anything else, this, that, and the other, and you feel like you're going down the chute and you're trying to build back up, just take a moment to yourself. Recognize who you are. Think about your upbringing. Think about your life and where it is right now. Think about some of the ways you carried yourself throughout those times. If there are some things you feel you could have corrected, correct that. Just sit down to yourself and correct things you felt that you could correct. What are some things you could have done differently? Correct those things, right? Be a better version of you. No one should come into your life and make you see that. You should see that for yourself. Correct those things. Start a brand new. Accept where you are now. Because that is the principle of prosperity. Is to accept where you are now. Accept where you are now is the principle of prosperity. And from there, you will elevate. You will elevate. You will open rooms and doors that you wouldn't even see imaginable, right? You wouldn't even see a lot of things coming, but those doors are gonna open for you because you accept where you are. You make a plan, you make an idealism, you go back to that childlike state and say, "So, hey, what I want to be in life, where I want to be, how I want to be," and you just operate like that, right? So remember when you was a child, you had these idealisms, imaginary friends, shit that you did as a child. Those things, when you got into your teenage years, that's how you kind of got into those, right? And for many of us, not all, but for many of us, you felt there was a period of your time where you were heading in those directions, but then something deterred you. Go back, remember those things, reminisce, revisit it. Where you deterred, take notes, write those notes down from that, rebirth that, go back to that childlike state, be yourself again, accept who you are, where you are right now, and elevate yourself beyond that. But in the process of that, just know that money don't buy you love. The idealism of money doesn't buy you love. Neither of those matter. So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what test bracket you are in now, because we all feel it, we all go through it, and we all will have those moments. But where those moments lie in is in our childlike mind, our childlike experiences, how carefree we were with our words, with our love, with our energy. Go back to doing that. Don't be afraid to be mushy. Don't be afraid to be you get what I'm saying? Like if there's things you want to do for a woman, for the woman in your life because you care for that person, shit, just do it, bro. Just do it. Fuck it, right? Just do it. Be that carefree again, like we were when we was teeny teens. You feel me? Just be that. And I'm telling you, it is the principle of prosperity. Accepting where you are, who you are, and just believing in the fact that, hey, your fate is going to carry you through it all, no matter what. But you do have to give up something, right? You have to give up that ego of expectation, the ego of what you of the world owes you something, because it doesn't. And most importantly, the ego of the indoctrinated mentality, of the indoctrinated worldly mentality, and that is machoism. For real. Let it go. Be yourself. Be who you are. Be organic. And when it comes to situations to where you're dealing with a spouse, partner that you're dating, transparency is key. Be transparent. Man, I don't care if you got a pot to piss in, Joe. Hey, just be real with the lady. Talk to her. Hey, look, hey man, this is what I got, this is what I do. You know what I'm saying? This is what I can't do, this is what I can do. Now we do live in a world where there is a lot where Zombieism is Z Nation. So you have to be prepared for that. So it's not like it was 10 years ago. But when you operate in your truth, in your principle, you actually will be spared from being connected with a lot of the zombieism. Like you will see it, but trust and believe. If you don't, if you're not out there mingling with every zombie, you're not gonna run into zombies. But if you position yourself where you lay back, you sit back, you let anything and everything happen organically, you're gonna get organic matter. That's a principle. So ignore, stay away from the social media comments and the conversations and the webcasts and the podcasts that you hear. All this shit you hear about these men and women when they on these podcasts talking and arguing with each other. I'm stay tuned. I'm doing one about them next. I'm gonna drop that tomorrow. But stay away from that. It's a distraction. It's an orchestrated distraction. Now I'll talk about that. And but just be yourself organically. Because what's for you is for you and it will happen for you 100%. Most importantly, understand what I said, right? Transparency is key. Be honest. You know. So if I had to give an example of what I'm hearing and seeing today is the topic of 50-50. And let's just be honest, right? There's no man that goes out on a date and he really expects. Every man that goes out on a date has the expectation of paying for it all. Nonetheless, paying for a date is actually bare minimum, right? A date doesn't cost. That's redundant. You get what I'm saying? That's actually redundant. But if we want to talk about principles of it, and that would be if you ask a woman out, you pay for everything. It's just like that. If the woman asks you out, then there's another conversation. I mean, just think about it. The same principle. It's the same principle. If you was at home, you wanted to go to a movie, you call your friend, hey, home, you want to go to a movie? Keep in mind, you just called your homie up there at the house, they chilling, whatever the case may be. So yeah, expect you to be like, yo, I got it, cause I want you to come out with it. Nonetheless, that's actually the most irrelevant thing that you should be thinking about when it comes to dating. It's the it's like on a scale of 1 to 10, and one being the most irrelevant thing in the picture, it's a one. If you ask somebody out, you take them out. You treat them. That's what that's about. Period. But nonetheless, you lead those conversations for the people who want to be distracted and for the distractors. But within yourself, you move forward. You think about where you want to be, how you want to be, and you operate from there. And I promise you, it will change a lot. A lot of your experiences from here on will change dramatically. But stay tuned to the next episode, Black Men in Suits Urban Nation. I'll talk to you later. All right. I have been seeing the podcast. I have been seeing the conversations. I've been seeing all of these things. Been seeing you guys kind of hitting yourselves and kind of putting yourselves on this back burner, because you may not feel adequate. Because a lot of women in our society, women are making that money, yo, and but besides the fact, brothers are making money too. But it's an illusion, right? The illusion is that no matter where we are, how we making this money, whatever the money looks like, whatever we thinking a person making as far as their salary, their income, whatever the case may be, their lifestyle, trust me, it is not satisfying the debt. It is not satisfying the debt. And with that being said, with it not satisfying the debt means, fellas, women still need you. Ladies, the men still need you. Right? So, brothers, I get it. Hey, the issue with us comes a lot deeper. And I'm going to hit that. I'm going to hit another segment on this about that because it requires another title. But what I'm going to hit on today is about like just particular experience about how we, because of where we may feel we are in our life, in our society as men, we may not be exactly where we want to be. But the thing about it, when you're dating, and if you're dating, you're going to still meet people who come into your life, or women come into your life, and you may begin to feel inadequate. And you may underperform in many areas, all because you feel that this woman supersedes where you are, or you feel there's a entitlement attached to what you're supposed to uphold as quote unquote a man supposed to lead narrative with a certain feminist movement, and understand that does not relate to you, and it will not relate to any genuine relationship that you get in. Trust and believe, it won't, and it doesn't, and it never will. But we have to ignore those things. And I'm going to break those things down to you. This is going to be very simple, simplistic, not as much in detail, but I'm going to talk about a few things. Nonetheless, stop limiting ourselves. Stop putting ourselves in a waste box. Stop hiding. Be transparent about who you are, where you are, and what you're able to do, what you're able to provide. Understand that for yourself, and then move forward. But let's get into it. BLKMENINSUITSURBANENATION.